1975. This was the last year of the second U.S. century. Now, if there was ever a time when the country was looking for some do-overs, well, 75 was it. Unemployment and gas prices were up. The economy was down. Watergate jail sentences were being handed down. The Great Lakes freighter, the Edmund Fitzgerald, sinks in Lake Superior. The U.S. auto industry was deep into the heart of the malaise era, with anemic horsepower and disappointing build quality. A bankrupt New York City is approved for a $2.3 billion federal bailout. And a 22-year-old logger, Travis Walton, goes missing for 5 days in Arizona. When found, he said he was abducted by aliens. But in October, Saturday Night Live premiered on NBC, so there was that. Look, by now, all the public wanted was change. They just wanted to feel good about something. Music in 1975 became a reflection of that desire. Late 60s rebellious-style rock and roll, music that made you think, feel, and even sometimes act, had fallen out of favor. This made way for music that was making the country feel good again, if only on a surface level. Disco was on the rise. A softer kind of saccharine sound was starting to take hold. Artists like Tony Orlando and Dawn, Barry Manilow, Olivia Newton-John, Neil Sedaka, and John Denver were all over the charts. The number one song for 1975 was Love Will Keep Us Together by the Captain and Tennille. Warm and Fuzzy was in, but it wasn't all bad for rock and roll. It was just going through the pains of change. Groups like Boston, Styx, Foreigner, and others were on the horizon, soon joining the likes of Bruce Springsteen and the Eagles in revitalizing rock, breathing a new life and attitude into it. Changes in music happen all the time. The Doobie Brothers saw some of those changes in 1975. Tom Johnston was leaving due to health reasons, and Michael McDonald was picked to take his place. Their style of guitar-based and driving rock was about to split time with R&B and blue-eyed soul. But before that happened, the last album of the first Tom Johnston era, Stampede, was released in April of that year, and tucked away in that album is a mid-60s Motown song that was about to make the scene with a rock band.
Time to get up, get out of bed, fill your cup and get ahead with 77 WABC.
Take Me in Your Arms, Rock Me a Little While was written in 1964 by the Motown writing team of Holland, Dozier, Holland. Eddie Holland recorded it the same year, but he never released it. Then it was handed to R&B artist Kim Weston in 1965, who had moderate success with it, hitting number 50 on Billboard's Hot 100. Other artists like the Isley Brothers, Blood, Sweat and Tears, and Jermaine Jackson took their turns with the song. None of them bettering Kim Weston's Hot 100 chart performance, however. By 1972, the song basically disappears from the musical landscape. In April of 1975, the Doobie Brothers released Take Me in Your Arms, Rock Me a Little While. It was the first and the most successful single off the Stampede album. But right away, there's an issue. The song is a breakup song, first and foremost. The opening lines of the lyrics are, I know you're leaving me behind. I'm seeing you, darling, for the very last time. So, realistically, the song shouldn't make you feel happy, right? But it does. It has a great Motown upbeat and driving sound, which means when you're done listening, you have a smile on your face, and that's after you've sung along with the lyrics. How does that happen? It found its way into the Doobie Brothers catalog after some persistent lobbying by Tom Johnston. This started in 1972. I had been a fan of that song since it came out somewhere in the 60s. I just loved that song. So, somewhere around 72, I started lobbying to get the band to do a cover of that. And I didn't get anywhere until 75. Then, finally, in 1975, we actually did it. The band enlisted Motown musical arranger Paul Reiser, who had previously provided arrangements for The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, just to name a few. He also co-wrote Jimmy Ruffin's What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. So this was no casual approach by the Doobie Brothers. Reiser went on to arrange Take Me in Your Arms so well that I can't begin to comprehend what it would sound like with someone else's arrangement. It's so tight and fast-paced that anything else would pale in comparison, almost Richard Carpenter-like in its quality. That song was like a dream come true for us, said Jeff Skunk Baxter. Every musician I've ever known has at some point wanted to achieve Motown's technically slick soul sound. It's so dynamic. We sat down to try to duplicate it and to see if our version could emerge as a successful single. Over time, the Doobie Brothers continued working at it. Patrick Simmons was quoted as saying, "At first, the band sounded like the Grateful Dead doing the Four Tops, but gradually, it came together quite accurately." And since he was the one to get the band to record the song, of course, Tom Johnston sings lead. After an 11-second intro that ends with the horns and the strings building and then releasing as if to propel the song forward, Johnston takes no time getting into gear and proceeds to drive the song. You almost get the feeling that the band, the backup singers, horns and strings are doing their best to keep up with him. His passion and intensity for the song is most evident at the 1:45 mark with the line, "I'll never ever hear your knock upon my door," punctuating the word ever with a shout that reaches the edges of his vocal. It'd be no stretch to think that Tom Johnston emptied his tank when he sang this song. Take Me in Your Arms enters the charts on May 10th at number 55 on the Billboard Hot 100. Over the next week, the uptempo song jumps 19 spots to number 36 on the Billboard chart, easily breaking into the top 40. Eventually, topping out at number 11 on the Hot 100 and 10 on the Cashbox Top 100 the week of June 21st. The question was always, could they do it? Could a rock band produce a Motown song with that slick, uptempo Motown sound? Yeah, not only could they do it, they did do it. They stepped out of their guitar rock comfort zone and absolutely master an R&B song. In 1979, the late Lamont Dozier was asked by Blues and Soul magazine, of the many songs he wrote, what cover version was his favorite. He replied, "It must be the Doobie Brothers and Take Me in Your Arms." That's high praise. There's also some legend around a quote attributed to Marvin Gaye when he was asked about the song. The quote is to the effect of, "The Doobie Brothers weren't f***ing around when they recorded the song." Now, if true, that's a hell of a quote, and if it isn't true, it's still a pretty great rumor. Take Me in Your Arms was the perfect way to close out the Tom Johnston era with a song he so wanted to record. Outside of the band, the next most important link in the chain for any song or album is the producer. A good producer will help the band create a hit. A great producer will help the band craft a classic. Enter Ted Templeman. Just for the Doobie Brothers alone, Templeman produced 10 albums. And to underscore his talent, he was the producer on the album The Captain and Me 2 years earlier, which means he was at the helm of probably one of the prettiest songs ever, the 7th track on that album, South City Midnight Lady. If it's possible for a song to get as close as it can to sonic perfection, well, then Templeman did it with South City Midnight Lady. You only need to listen to the song once to know the Doobie Brothers and Ted Templeman created a classic. So, with those producing chops, Templeman was the exact right person to produce Take Me in Your Arms. With Take Me in Your Arms, as with any song that attains a measure of popularity, the question will always come up, where does it belong in the history of its decade? In this case, the 1970s. I don't know. I do know that it never fails to get my attention. It never fails to make me roll down the car windows and crank the volume. And most importantly, it never fails to do what great music does best, alter my mood for the better, legally. Take Me in Your Arms and South City Midnight Lady top the list of my favorite Doobie Brothers songs, both equal in their talent, production, and greatness. Two of the many songs that the public has embraced and held on to all these years. The Doobie Brothers were recognized for their work and artistry with an induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2020. The talent of the band and all their work had finally been validated. including this little Motown gem by a rock band born in 64 and came of age in 75 that's also a breakup song that leaves you smiling. Perfect.